understood by no one, feared by many, and loved by all. Mr. John Hodgman, the deranged millionaire. When I say Hodgman, you say Hodgman, 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 When I say deranged, you say deranged, deranged.
Good evening. My name is John Hodgman. You may know me from my series of best-selling books of complete world knowledge. That's very kind. I know you don't know me that way. I know that's not why you know me. You may know me from my job as the resident expert on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. It's more likely that you know me from that. But really, you probably know me from a series of very popular television advertisements that I did for a major computer company, in which I portrayed, thank you, sir, the man who haunts my dreams. It is true I portrayed the PC, or personal computer. If any of you, maybe you know what was going on in those ads, I had no idea. I was either a computer in the shape of a human, in which case they should have called me an android, or I was a human who had been trained to think with the speed of a computer, in which case I would have been a mentat. Hello, nerds. But that is all over now for me. People used to come up to me all the time, "Hey, personal computer, can you correct the red eye in my photo, please?" I'd do it. Of course I'd do it. I was very good at it. Do you know why? You know what my trick was? I wouldn't just correct the red eye in the photograph. I would correct what is wrong in your soul that makes your eyes turn out that way. Now, very few people recognize me on the street anymore. They stopped my commercials, I presume, because we sold all the computers. Why else would they do that to me? Take away the most important thing in my life. Hello, my human children. But it is okay, do not feel bad for me. I'm still more famous than you are. And in many ways, my life is simpler now, more grounded. I lead the humble life of a deranged millionaire. I have time now to cultivate my deranged millionaire hobbies, such as germophobia, hiring Mormons to inject me with drugs all day, and the growing of ill-advised facial hair. Many people ask, did you grow your mustache for a part in the motion picture films? Are you playing, for example, Higgins in the Magnum P.I. reboots? I am not playing Higgins in the Magnum P.I. reboot. The mustache I grew initially to play young Wilford Brimley in the Cocoon prequel. And then I more recently grew the substash in order to play. I'm in a new movie starring actually in it. This is absolutely true. It's called Val versus Val, and it's about what happens when the young, handsome Val Kilmer from Tombstone meets his older, fat Val Kilmer from today. And they meld into one body. It's Freaky Val Day, is what it's called. And of course, to return and reach with my long fingernailed hands to that last great project of mine, complete world knowledge. Now, some people are skeptical of this idea. How can complete world knowledge be contained within? But I see your point. It is true that complete world knowledge will never truly be complete, so long as there is a world. Luckily, we won't have to worry about that for much longer. For if you own a calendar, then you will know that today is February 2012. I don't know what day it is. All I know is it's the day after Chickasaul's birthday. That's how I mark time. And if you own a Mayan long count calendar, then your house is probably very big. Because those shits are huge. Now listen, parents, I just said a bad word. And as a parent, I want you to know that I am conscious of this. So I promise you, I will not speak another bad word tonight, except for later when I say shithole. So now you're prepared, and you know what you have coming. I may end up depressing and troubling your children even more because I'm going to talk a lot about mortality. But I'm going to speak about it in gentleman's language, except for shithole. Now, I have seen a Mayan long count calendar, and do you know what is on it? Mayan sexy firefighters. And possibly a prediction of the end of time. For it is reckoned by experts that on December 21st, 2012, the Mayan calendar stops. Now, does this mean that on December 21st, 2012, the world is going to end and perish in flood and famine and fire and other F words, leaving only John Cusack alive, as was predicted? I don't know for sure, but I'm keeping John Cusack prisoner in my home. Just as insurance, because when you look around and you see the strange things that are happening in the world today, it does give you pause. In the past year, we've had economies around the world on the brink of collapse, political unrest, strange weather events. They were serving goose at the buffet today. And that made sense, you know, because I threw a shilling to an English boy in Curacao. And I don't know why they had those lamprey pies and the swan's eye omelets that they were making. John Flansburgh sang "Born to Run" last night. That's a strange omen, is it not? And of course, Rick Santorum. Look, I despise topical humor. You know that I despise topical humor. But I do appreciate Rick Santorum because I have a theory. I don't think he's actually running for president. I think he's doing the most elaborate Handmaid's Tale cosplay of all time. And all of that is not even to mention the imminent return of the 700 ancient and unspeakable gods who soon will awaken from their watery slumber beneath the South Pacific to drown the world in blood. Or so I have seen in my visions. That night I took my inhaler 50 times by accident. When I was bathing in absinthe. And I've also recently turned 40 years old. Thank you for applauding my mortality. He's halfway done. No, that was not supposed to happen to me. And when you see crazy stuff like this going on all around you, it's hard not to feel that there's something big and dark and probably tentacled on the horizon. Some call it the end times. Ancient Norse myth, it was called Ragnarok. Scientists call it the coming global superapocalypse. You may call it Ragnarok. And so now I realized as I was approaching this book, That Is All, that it's not just a book of complete world knowledge, but of final world knowledge, in which I could tell you everything you needed to know before the end of human civilization and time itself. What to hoard, for example. You may wonder, everyone on television tells me to hoard gold. Is that what I should do? No, dummy. Hoard beef jerky dollars. That's the currency of the future. Say you want to be self-sufficient and you want to start raising livestock at your survival compound. What are the best animals? Goats. You can raise goats for fur, food, and fun. They're hardy animals. They give milk from which you can make bad cheese. And when it comes time to murder them for their meat, you don't feel so bad because they're weird looking. They have those weird Kermit the Frog eyes that mark them as the pet of Satan, and you don't mind strangling them. Rabbits multiply like their metaphor. They're harder to kill because of the cuteness, and their milk is disgusting. But they're good to have because 1 in every 12 rabbits has the gift of prophecy. So if you want to know when your fields are going to fill up with blood, it's good you can consult one of your rabbits. Hello, Watership Down nerds. Now I know where you are in the audience. And then I write about all sorts of other interesting subjects such as wine and wealth and how boats work and which magic tricks are actually magic. Only about 2%. And of course, sports. Now this is where you go, what are sports? I have moved myself happily into a place where I never have to think about them again. And so had I. Now I don't hate sports. I actually kind of like a baseball, all right? Well, there's more than one. Baseball would be a pretty boring game, don't you think? But baseball, you know, it's got that sluggish pace and the chess-like strategy and the sedentary nature of its players and their strange facial hair. It all makes it paradoxically the sport of the nerd. I just resist the insistence, the cultural insistence that I have to love and care about sports in order to be normal. That is not fair. I do not go around asking jocks to name all 11 Doctors Who. It's not their cup of tea. Don't ask me to love sports. I have a longer version of this rant that ends this way. In my opinion, if religion is the opiate of the masses, sports is the methadone. Well, let me just fast forward to say that as the dying man grasps for religion in his last days, now as Ragnarok approaches, even I, a sports neutral to sports hater, turns to sports for something that might save me before we are all done. And so I did a lot of research on sports that I'm sure you will find very interesting. First of all, there are a lot of them. I cover the major sports: baseball, basketball, football, and falconry. But I also cover the minor esoteric sports that very few people play or enjoy in reality anymore, such as hockey. Oh, I'm sorry, hockey fans. Or may I say, Canadians. Well, I understand. Hockey is it's a real sport. It's, you know, arguably you could say it's the mixed martial arts of curling. What is your favorite hockey team, depressed person? Look how quickly they become a mob. Soon they're all going to be fighting each other. Those are all ice hockey teams, am I wrong? Because I learned there are more than one kind of hockey, you know. Okay. There is field hockey, as well as air hockey. And of course, fire hockey. It's played on lava. And those are your 4 elemental hockeys. Or so we thought before there was science. Now we know there are hundreds of hockeys, all arrayed on the periodic table of hockeys. Even some hypothetical hockeys that have yet to be discovered, but we know they're out there. Did you know that there are 2 different sports called football? Apparently, jocks do not have any imagination. Hey, we made up a new sport. Well, let's call that one football too. Now, American football is the one you are probably most familiar with. I never understood the rules of this game until I was researching for this book. Many people tried to explain it to me, and I just could not understand it. Finally, I figured it out. So, football, if you're not familiar with it, is a game in which men shove each other back and forth for no reason. They do not choose when, or whom, or how to shove. Those decisions have all been made before them ahead of time. All they have to do is follow the instructions of how to deploy the meat of their bodies against the meat that is rushing at them. The object of the game, they do all of this in order to please one yelling old man on the sidelines. This man is called the coach, or angry surrogate father who will never be happy. And indeed, he will never be happy, because even if the footballers win, which they do by moving the ball back and forth across the field a certain number of times, and then ritually bathing the old man in what I can only presume is the finest urine-colored champagne, the coach's victory sneer will soon once again turn into a scowl, and a week later those same footballers will have to go out there and try to earn his love once more by hitting other people as hard as they want to hit him and themselves. Now, if someone had explained to me that this is simply a game of daddy issues and self-loathing, I would have watched. A football field, which is about the size of a single football field, is often referred to as a gridiron. Do any of you know why it is called a gridiron? You're wrong. It actually, when it was first played, the modern game, invented at Yale, it was originally played on a giant cast iron grid. A few feet above the lawn, and then they put sawdust underneath it. And that way the footballers' droppings could pass through and not interrupt the flow of the play. Now, soccer, the other football, requires no such special equipment to play. Really, to play soccer, all you need is a ball and 4 crummy, crumpled up windbreakers that you use to demarcate goals at either end of a green lawn in a public park that other people would like to use for a picnic. And then about 35 non-Americans to play. It's really the simplest sport in the world. Arguably, it should not even be called a sport. When you think about it, it's basically one ball away from the ancient non-sport of fast running back and forth. Even the ancient Mayans knew that this was not enough to constitute a sport. When they developed their ancient Mesoamerican ball game, which is considered to be the precursor to both soccer and basketball, impossibly, but it is, they specified that you could only advance the ball by hitting it with what? Your hips, exactly so. And if you're finding this difficult to picture in your mind, it is because it is physically impossible. And that is what makes the sport interesting. Now, other people in the world call soccer football in order to reinforce just what a banal game it is. You kick the ball with your foot. Get it? Americans, by contrast, when they developed American football, made sure it was a game that was played almost exclusively with the hands, using an object that could only be described as a ball by a mentally ill person. And the fact that the United States, that most sentimental and literal-minded of nations, could somehow out-ironicize urbane Europe in this way is itself ironic. And the fact that this perversion of the signifier and the signified should take place in the decidedly anti-intellectual field of sports makes it all trironic. And the fact that this trirony actually makes me kind of like American football is itself so surreal that I want to shoot myself in the face with a green apple. Hello, Magritte fans. I look forward to seeing the Magritte fans after the show and watching them be beat up by the Watership Down fans. Because that is my sport. Nerd on nerd violence. Come down to the fighting pits of Marine. Really? Okay.